Welcome to the KEPRS training videos. These videos are sponsored by the Office of Education Licensure and Effectiveness, which is an office of the Kentucky Department of Education and authorized by the Education Professional Standards Board. The division that does the reviews and audits of the EdPrep programs in the institutions in Kentucky is the Division of Educator Preparation, Assessment, and Internship. The system that we're reviewing in this video is the Kentucky Educator Program Review System, or KEPRS. These are the key contacts for this particular program, and you can stop or pause this video if you need to capture some emails or phone numbers. There are a series of videos that we are creating, each about 10 minutes long and focused on the different functions and modules within KEPRS. This particular video is going to focus on the responses. And the reason we do all this is to capture the information about these programs so they can be reviewed. So there's information about the institution itself, the programs, the courses and curriculum, clinical educators or faculty, the assessments, and all of the standards that the courses and assessments are aligned to. All of this is gathered into this system so that we can do a program review. And we hope that much of the information that is gathered and maintained in this system can also be used if you are doing a CAPE accreditation. So once you log in to the EPSB system, and we have a module that talks about how to get through security and user IDs and permissions and so forth. And then you would select the KEPRS system, and the landing page looks like this. So you've got a series of icons and functions that you can pick and choose from. You've also got a series of drop-down menus that you can also pick from. It's basically the same thing. And so if you hover the mouse over the home, you get all of these choices that you could pick from. So this video is going to focus on the responses and the answers that you can provide in a narrative to the KEPRS system. And the system starts here, a rather basic screen. Actually, there's a series of drop downs that you can pick from. So you start with the program category. In this case, we're just going to start with the top program, which is biological science, and we'll pick a section of the responses that we're going to answer. And these are the sections here. There's information or questions about the program experience, clinical experiences, the Kentucky P12 experience, evidence and analysis, and then there's a summary of the analysis and your developed continuous improvement, quality assurance system, and then some optional items. So we're going to start with the program experience, and we need to pick a program code, and usually there are several to pick from, and in this case we've just got one that says biological science. It's a traditional route, initial undergraduate, and provides a baccalaureate degree. So once we pick those three drop downs and we click on the Get Questions and Responses, we will get a series of questions that we can answer and go through. So we've got questions about program innovations, and this one is optional. Program curriculum, admission, describe culminating clinical experience, exit requirements, and there's typically in the program experiences, there's going to be about 8 or 9 questions that you will answer in this dialog box. Now you'll notice a lot of control features across the top bar of the dialog box, and this gives you full editorial or editor functions for things like changing the font, if you can do a left or right alignment of the data, you can bullet things, but there's some pretty powerful editor capabilities in here. And you can either key in the information or answers directly. You can cut and paste from a Word document if you like. And in my case, I went out and I Googled some information about innovative biology, and I came up with this information. I just wanted to give an example of how you can cut and paste this kind of information from just about anywhere and then put it into your narrative box, and there you go. So there's the information that we're going to respond with to this particular question. As always, in these narrative boxes, if you see in the bottom right-hand corner, there's a little tag here that if you click on it and pull it around, you can move that dialog box a little bit, so you got a better capability of looking at the information that you're keying in. Okay. Now you also see here in the bottom right-hand corner of every one of these narrative boxes is the ability to save your response. So let's take this to the next step and show you what the save looks like. And you'll need to pick which code you're going to save this response to. And the reason we've done this is to allow you to broadly copy your answers or responses into multiple categories and codes. So if I know that this particular answer that I've developed is somewhat generic, and I say, well, it's just not just biological science. We do the same thing in chemistry, and we do the same thing in English, and we do the same thing in middle school science, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So I can multi-pick the different categories and programs at my university to where I can copy all of these responses. Once I've picked the programs, I get a list of the codes that I can then choose. And what I can do here is I can pick individual items to move from the left to the right-hand side, because this is my target area of where I'm going to save the responses. Or I can say up here, I'm going to save all of the programs, and now I've got everything moved from the left to the right. These are the program locations where I'm going to save my responses, and then I click on the Save Response to Programs, and I get this response saved successfully. And so we have completed that step. Now, one way I can verify that is I can look at the chemistry program. I'm looking at program experience, and I'm going to pick this course, the program code 2845, get questions and answers. And you can see that my data that I copied is now in the chemistry program. And I forget all the other ones that I picked. Let me pick English and see if I copied it there. I'll have to pick a code. And it was copied there as well. So there were several that I had copied it to. So as you go through answering these program experience questions and you feel that it's essentially the same answer for a variety of programs, maybe you've got to focus on science or English or whatever, you can copy these into multiple locations. So let me change the section here just for a moment. Let me look at the clinical experiences in English, get questions. And now I've got a series of questions about my clinical experiences. And you can see how every time I change the section, I'll get a new set of questions that I need to respond to. Now, this is where you enter all of your answers to the responses in the KEPRS system. There's another place where you can view, and you can only view these answers, is to go to the program inventory. And in the program inventory, you can view all of the information you're keying into these various modules within the KEPRS system. So in the inventory view, I've got biological science. I could look at my clinical educators. I could look at my courses. I have to pick a code. So here are my courses. If I were going to look at my responses, I still need to pick a code. Biological science, program experience, and then the academic year, just in case I'm changing my responses from year to year. And now I have a view of the responses that I had keyed in. And in this case, we're just working with the first answer, the first response in the first section. So you would proceed to go through the different sections, answer the questions, and then you could review them. You can't change anything here, but you can view them in your program inventory. We did add an additional little handy button over here to export to Excel. So you can take the grid view of all of these questions and answers and export them to Excel if you'd like. Sometimes people want to take that Excel sheet, share it with their staff, or share it with the department and let them answer some of these questions rather than using the KEPRS system. So that's up to you. And that's about it for the responses section of KEPRS. We appreciate your time and hope that you'll view our other videos as well. Thank you for joining us.